Hey, Christine Faulkner with Cava Faulkner, Elk Grove Living Trust attorney, Sacramento estate planning lawyer. Thanks for tuning into another edition of The Daily with Christine. And so this just came up today and I thought it would be a great topic. How many of you have had this experience where you have maybe a family member who's sick, who just passed away, and you have no idea whether they have any kind of planning documents, and if they do, where they are located? So stay tuned until the end because you're gonna hear a couple of tips on what to do to prevent this from happening in your own life, and how you can even help your own parents in terms of communication regarding these things and having a strategy. So that's all about what estate planning is about, having a plan, a written plan, but also a strategy to communicate that to other people. So, what happens if you can't find a plan? So say you have somebody who's part of your life and a parent, for example, who is sick, or they've passed away, they were sick and were not able to communicate with you about what they had, and then they pass away and you're just kind of stuck wondering, well, what the heck do I do next? How do I know whether they had a plan? So number one, if you have a trust and a will, or like a complete estate plan, which includes generally more than a trust and a will, how do you know if they exist? Well, they're private documents, so they shouldn't be recorded anywhere. Like going to the county recorder to check and see if there's a trust or a will is not a place that you should spend your time looking, because if they've been properly educated, they'll know not to ever record those documents. They don't get recorded. So it can be very frustrating to try to figure out, what's going on here. One of the first ways that you can figure out if a trust exists, if your family member has real property, is to go to the county recorder, but not to determine if the trust is recorded, but to ask, see if you can get the public records regarding their real property. This only works obviously if they have real property, but if they had real property and it was in their trust, then that would be on the deed. The deed would be recorded showing, their name or their names as trustees of their trust. You'll be able to get the name and the date. It probably won't show the name of the lawyer that they worked with, but you'll at least know that something existed. It doesn't really help if you have to go digging through their house. Not going to save you any time there, but we'll at least be able to point you in the right direction that a trust did exist. Now, if somebody doesn't have real property, they may not have ever put a trust in place. For many people in California, if they've worked with a lawyer and they have real estate, they'll probably have a trust. So the county recorder is a good place to start to at least get the name of the trust and figure out, does that exist? But if you have family who didn't own real property, they don't have assets worth, more than $150,000 or $160,000 that have title, they may not have needed to get a trust. Maybe they just had a will-based plan. And so you're not going to see anything about that at the county recorder. So it won't, unfortunately, save you from going through their cabinets and their closets and their safe and their safety deposit box. But of course, that's always a good place to start as well. If you don't have a starting point, is to present yourself to the bank. And if you locate a safety deposit box key and or that there is a safety deposit box, to present yourself to the bank and ask to get into the bank, at least to get to determine if there are documents in there. Many times folks will put their will or their documents in their in their safety deposit box. So that is also a good place to start, especially if you have the safety deposit box key, and you'll have to present a death certificate, of course, to demonstrate that the person has passed away. Many times original documents will be found in the safety deposit box. Of course, more obvious places like a safe. And so, hopefully the combination to the safe is something that you know, or it was kept in a place that you know about. Sometimes people do keep their estate planning documents in a safe, and so we certainly hope that people who need to know actually have a combination and that it hasn't been changed. A couple of things that we do along these lines that are really, really important practical pieces of planning is when we have clients who work with us, we create documents that are called fiduciary letters. And so people who've been named to act as agents, as powers of attorney, healthcare directive, trustees, executors of the will, they get a letter with our letterhead on it saying that, you know, these people, our clients, have created a plan and you have been named to do certain things, and our contact information is on there. And so certainly having those fiduciary letters informs people that a plan is in place and this is the lawyer that created it. And so if the documents can't be found in the client's home, they have letterhead from us knowing who to call. And fortunately, we do have copies of all of our clients' signed documents. We make sure that we have a copy of all of not the original documents, not just the original documents, but their signed documents as well. So we can reproduce those for folks if they needed them. We would only do that for the people that were named in the plan, who we know have the right to actually have a copy of these documents. But that's one of the things that we do to help get the communication out and help inform people that a plan has been created, and you can contact our firm if the originals can't be found. So really important piece of the puzzle. We also give our clients what's called a peace of mind inventory. And that's a document that's probably 20 to 25 pages long. And it has every nitty gritty detail that you could think of, like who is the client's doctor? Who is the client's dentist? What is the combination for the safe? Where do they have safety deposit boxes, and where are the keys? What bank accounts do they have, and what are their passwords? All of that stuff that's usually scattered all over the place. So this is a document that we give to people for exactly that reason. So if the documents are inside the safe, that a person has a way to know what the combination is to get into the safe to get the darn documents. So we advise our clients never to put documents in a safe because of exactly that reason. What if they decide to change the combination and they didn't let people know? Then the documents are locked away and it just makes everybody's life far more difficult. We do tell our clients, you know, put the documents in the bag that we've given you and hang them in a closet or put them on a closet shelf so they're not sitting out, they're not just sort of out in open view. But they could be found, and they could probably be found fairly easily in the event of an emergency by, you know, your family, your loved ones who maybe don't know that you have a plan. I do have clients who don't necessarily want those fiduciary letters prepared, so the people may not know that they have a plan in place, but we always recommend from a practical perspective, don't put this in your bank. Don't put this in your safety deposit box. Don't put this in a safe, but make it readily accessible for people who are willing to do a little bit of looking. So a couple of tips on, you know, what to do to save time, because isn't it true that your time is definitely worth money, and the hassle factor of dealing with something like this, I bet you think is probably a big deal. Who wants to waste time rummaging through the house, leaving no stone unturned, trying to find some documents that you don't even know exist? Wouldn't it be better to have clear communication, knowing ahead of time that a plan exists and maybe even where to find it? And certainly if you don't, knowing where to find the crucial paperwork so that you could get into the safe if the documents are kept in the safe, or knowing which bank the safety deposit box is located and where the key is to enable you to easily and quickly access the documents that you need so that you know what your next step is going to be. So a little practical advice on literally where to keep your estate planning binder. If you have one, how to know if loved ones maybe have a plan. If you don't know, if you've never heard them talk about a lawyer or an estate plan, some practical tips on where you might start looking. I hope you find this useful. If you like our channel, subscribe. hit the little icon above. Like our videos. Let us know what else you'd like us to tell you about. We'll be happy to share that information with you. Let us know how we can help and what we can take off your plate for you. If you're having an estate planning issue, we're definitely here to help. If you know that you need to maybe have some planning and you're ready to have that conversation, give us a call. I know that we can help you. I'm really confident that we can help you. We've been doing this for 15 years. I'm an experienced litigator, been practicing law for almost 30 years now. So I've got a lot of practical experience, both in litigation as well as estate planning. So I'm confident that we can help you no matter what your needs are. And so we're here to help. We'd love to hear from you, and take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.